So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to, we're on the Dapper React set, but this isn't really Dapper Reacts. This is Dapper and Vishanti sit around and chat about things. And I know that Kip was supposed to be here, however, Kip is feeling under the weather. So, you know, every super chat equals one prayer. Kip's recovery. That's how it works. Here, we'll start a goal. All right. If we get 30 super chats in the next 2 hours, Kip will be miraculously healed, or else. The else is that he might not get miraculously healed. That's one of the options in there. Either he'll be miraculously healed, or something else will happen in the universe. I promise. So, yeah, we don't have a creationist today. So basically, last time we were on, you guys got us to, I think, a second super chat goal that was basically to have this show, where instead of doing anything with a creationist or Billy Carson or any other nonsense, we just do basically an entire show that's just what we normally would do tangents about. So we've done this once before, and it was food, and while it didn't have as big of an audience, I don't expect as big an audience this time, it was still a lot of fun, and I think the people who were there had fun. So here we are again. Vishanti, how you doing?
I'm awake.
Yeah, that's a plus, I suppose.
Is it?
It is if you're going to be on the show. Because I do know some people have managed to stream themselves streaming and make that work out for them. I would feel weird streaming you sleeping to my channel.
It'd be very creepy.
Yeah. People have done it, though. Like, set up a webcam aimed at their bed and then just gone to sleep.
Okay.
Look, I'm one of those people where, like, it might not be for me, but if it's for you, and that's good for you and good for your audience, okay, fine. Have fun with it. I don't want that. Sure. I don't think anyone wants to watch me sleep either. Yeah. Alright, so we do have a poll right now. So because this is the horror movie thing, there are, of course, a lot of subgenres within horror. And there are, in fact, subgenres within subgenres, and some movies cross between different subgenres. There's a whole lot there. But for the big horror subgenres that I end up, getting into, as well as Vishanti, include sci-fi horror, supernatural horror, cosmic horror, and slasher horror. And so there is, in fact, a poll up there, and it's going to be ending very, very soon. So if you want to influence what we talk about first, I would suggest voting. We are doing the drinking triggers, but because there's no creationist, it's mostly going to be whether or not my phone does anything, or whether or not you guys do something. So if you want to get to hear the drunken version of Vishanti and I talking about horror, feel free to super chat anything with AIG as a bag of dicks, or membership milestone chat like that, or do the same with any of the kaiju emojis, or send memberships, because every membership is a drink, up until a certain point, at which point I just down whatever I have and go get another one. So let's see. I think I am about to end the poll, so we will see what we talk about first. And then I think we'll probably give it, like, I don't know, a half an hour to 45 minutes, and we'll start up another poll without whatever won first time. So we'll probably get to a few different things. But here we go.
Answer Claude Simeon, Midsommar is solidly folk horror.
Yeah, it is. It actually doesn't fit well into any of the categories that I've listed here. Because folk horror, it can also overlap with slasher or cosmic horror, but it doesn't always. Actually, I do think it fairly often overlaps with cosmic.
Yeah. Stuff like The Ritual.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where, like, there's, like, unknowable ancient entities that are holding sway over some community, and that goes into cosmic. Although they're usually not, like, cosmic beings in the sense of, like, being eternal and like just foundational parts of reality that humans can barely comprehend. They're usually like, oh, some powerful, spiritual entity like a god or something. So there are some differences, but I would say its closest ally is cosmic horror when it comes to folk horror. Yeah. All right. So
Simeon says that they found Midsommar disturbing. Great movie. Yeah, I love that it's a breakup movie, but the setting is folk horror.
yeah. Yep. And also, we find out that apparently the proper way to get rid of your emotionally abusive and neglectful ex is to fill him with a paralytic, stuff him into a dead bear, and then set the building he's in on fire.
Where he spent most of that day drugged out of his mind and being, honestly, essayed.
Yeah,
because he couldn't consent.
Yeah, there was no
being
concern
drugged out of his mind.
for his consent there. Yeah.
Yep.
Although, still not a great guy. That doesn't
Not
mean
a great guy.
that doesn't mean that you should.
I had trouble feeling bad for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
I was like, damn, that sucks. Well, anyway.
All right. So, which genre should we start with? We got sci-fi horror won with 37% of the vote. Then came supernatural horror and cosmic horror tied for 29%. And apparently, no one cares about slasher horror because that only got 3% of the vote.
I mean, it is among this audience not surprising.
Yeah,
that we all are not super.
I also mentioned before the show started splatter, and like I don't watch much splatter. In case you guys don't know what splatter is horror films that focus on graphic depictions of gore and violence. And pretty much the only splatter franchise that I actually have ever enjoyed is Terrifier, because it goes so far into the splatter, it just goes into comedy, and you're like, come on. Yeah. That's absurd.
That's absurd.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't saw someone in half that fast. There's a whole bunch of bones in the way. Like,
yeah, you can. Humans are made of cake. Like, this one, it literally has him pouring salt into somebody's wound, and you're just like, at that point, you're like, come on, man.
Someone who in no way would still be alive.
No.
No.
And just Art's whole thing, like, you just, like, yeah, it is actually violent, but you can't stop laughing.
Yeah. It's...
Wow.
Look, I think there's a reason that Art is a clown, and it's because the movie is just clowning around with splatter. John Hopkins for $5 says, I was cleaning out my garden earlier and didn't notice the poison ivy for far too long. Ooh, upside down smiley face. I blame AIG. You know what? AIG is indeed a bag of dicks, and they would cause this, so I'll take a drink for it. I'm drinking some rum and cola. You got a drink there, Vishanti?
Yeah. Coffee.
Coffee? I already had... Well, actually, I didn't have coffee. I had two monsters. They were both,
right.
Yeah, I had the zero sugar in the white can, whose name I can never remember, but I just think of it as like my version of Ketracel White, because it keeps me functioning. Sure. And then also the no sugar orange one. I actually, for some reason, like something about like the aspartame artificial sweetener makes the Monster to me slightly less gross, because I don't actually like Monster very much.
I can't remember the last time I had an energy drink, to be honest with you.
Oh, I remember the last time I had a regular old Monster, and it was... I'll say this. It was definitely better than that Red Bull Cola I had once in Hawaii like 20 years ago. But it wasn't a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Chuck V for $15 says, thoughts and prayers for Kip and blessings upon Archangel Vish. I'm told dinosaurs don't need guns, so he drowned them all. Sorry, Dapper. Military sci-fi. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap between military sci-fi and sci-fi horror. So after I read this next super chat and also update the stupid current earnings thing, there's one more thing I want to talk about that's sort of a preamble-y thing, and then we're going to get into sci-fi horror. Kent Jeffrey of Arimathea Halstead for $4.99 says the scariest horror. Yes, Arimathea.
That's good.
The scariest movie I saw was the documentary about Roger Ailes. Yeah, I mean...
Humans are the real monsters.
Humans are the real monsters. I mean, one of the themes of horror. So the last thing I want to say that's sort of set up preamble stuff is there is a link to a Vishanti fundraiser to make sure that she can still do things like pay the bills and have a roof.
I just got a bill yesterday, in fact. Woo!
Yay! So if you want to increase our funding thing there, all donations there count at 1.2 times their regular number. So, if you want to see Bent get a free pizza or something, or you want to shove me into a tutu next time, or just get a fancy avatar to vote on for my next video, yeah. And by the way, my next video is about geocentrism. That's the next early access video. I found a tradcath geocentrist. We're going to talk about geocentrism. And it's not Robertson Genis. It's not.
They're consistent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is very tradcathy, I suppose. The reason I'm not doing Robertson Genis, by the way, is because almost everything he's in is just a bunch of scripture references and then rambling about whatever he's selling that day. He almost never actually makes claims about empirical anything. So there's not much to talk about when it comes to Robertson Genis. I don't really want to buy his book or anything. But anyway, sci-fi horror. So I think the sci-fi horror that is probably most familiar to everyone is the one that we have on screen, which is the Alien franchise. And but there's also a lot of other really good examples, right? Like we've got The Thing. Not that thing. The other The Thing. The good The Thing. There have been 2 movies, both titled The Thing, both in continuity with each other, and one of them was not very good.
I only recognize the first one, because obviously.
Yeah. But also, we watched Sputnik together recently. That was actually surprising.
Yeah! Picked it on a whim.
Yeah, we were just...
And it was really good.
Looking at Shudder, and we're just like, some random movie. And we're like, okay, sci-fi horror, let's do it. Didn't go in...
Yeah, it was up on the top banner, and I was like, space something. Yeah, let's do it. Bang!
Yeah.
It was really good.
Now, if you're going to watch it, you do have to get ready for subtitles. The movie is in Russian, unless, of course, you can speak Russian, in which case, hey, there you go. You can speak Russian. But, so, I think one of the things I like about sci-fi horror is one of the same things that I like about cosmic horror, which is the idea that the universe is a dangerous place that in no way cares about keeping you alive, and might actively be rooting for your destruction. It's the same reason why I like the Dead Space franchise. Which I don't know, Vishanti, are you familiar with the Dead Space franchise? Okay. Of course, I'm sure you've never played any of them, right? For $5, Metageeky Platypus Librarian says, so where do you place psychological horror? And I'm not talking about Bodhi discussing linguistics or AIG's collection of persons full of baculums. So for me, psychological horror is sort of a style, right? That can fit into a lot of the other subgenres. Like Sorry?
Pacing.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with pacing.
Yeah. So the thing is, for me, for psychological horror, what comes out of it is, or what's supposed to be horrifying, isn't so much the violence or the monster or whatever else. It is the actual emotional anguish of the characters, and that can happen in any subgenre of horror. The question is that what the writing and the directing is and the cinematography is focusing on? If you're focusing on how this is affecting the characters emotionally and their relationships to each other, then okay, yeah, you're doing some psychological horror, which is one of the reasons why I would say like Alien, which is probably it might be my favorite sci-fi horror movie. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time, is the original Alien. I'm actually one of those weirdos who likes Alien more than Aliens, although I do really like Aliens. And that's because I prefer horror movies over action movies, and Alien is very much a horror movie, and Aliens is an action movie with some horror elements. So, yeah. Which I am not saying that if you have the opposite preference, you're wrong. I acknowledge that I'm a weirdo, and that most people disagree with me, but I do. And so I would actually say that...
What my favorite sci-fi horror movie is. I'm gonna skim my list and see if it pops out, because that probably changes.
One of the things about it is I think it actually does delve into some psychological horror stuff, because there's plenty of scenes where the surviving crew is standing around talking about things like, oh, if Ripley will say something like, if we just listen to me and maintain quarantine, we'd all be fine. And they're fighting about like what to do next. And of course, ashes never being terribly useful because, spoiler alert for a movie from 40 years ago. He's not very useful. He's anti-useful. Also, at this point, look, if you're an adult and you haven't seen Alien, you just don't want to see Alien. Go watch Alien. I mean,
look, Kip hasn't seen The Thing, so I don't want to spoil that.
That was one of those movies that really bombed when it came out, and it only ever became popular afterwards. Yeah, like have you ever seen like the Siskel and Ebert review?
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, they hated that movie.
It's brutal.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah. So what are some other? Oh, you know what's a sci-fi movie? That's a sci-fi horror movie that I feel like people don't like as much as they probably should. Is Europa Report.
I was just about to say Europa Report.
Yeah.
Like, so when we're watching movies, Dapper and I, and sometimes Kip, we have certain formats that we will give preferential treatment to, and found footage is one of those. Yeah, obviously they're not all winners, but it doesn't matter. It's just because we're older millennials, there's something about that like quasi-analog VHS type style that just sends us back to high school or middle school when like the Blair Witch Project came out. And, you know, we grew up with analog media. We're probably the last generation to have experienced it before everything really moved to digital. So there's some nostalgia there. And I think a lot of what makes certain types of horror scary is that it evokes something that's very visceral from your childhood, because that's when you're the most vulnerable.
Probably why dolls are such a big thing.
You know,
creepy dolls all over horror.
You're a vulnerable child. You have to depend on everyone else in your life for clothing, food, shelter, safety, things like that. And you don't know anything about anything. Every experience is new. You are stupid. You don't know anything. You wander into situations that adults will be like, what are you doing? So there's a vulnerability there.
Don't go down into the basement that's making weird, creepy noises.
Certain types of horror really evoke that. And found footage takes you back to like these sort of latchkey kid vibe. Like I'm at the house by myself or with a sibling, and we're, you know, waiting for the parent to come home, and we heard a noise and we don't know what it is, and we're not about to go like investigate it, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Like I can stay.
That's incredible. Like that's one of the reasons that Skinamarink really just grinds you into the ground. Because it's that feeling for like a solid hour and a half.
Not a movie for everyone, but for
that, that movie's not for everybody. And
for the people it's targeted at,
yeah, when I was talking about pacing, is there are people for whom their attention span has kind of been artificially shortened by a lot of like social media, and I think that sucks when you're talking about certain types of film that require a very slow, drawn-out type of pace, and Skinamarink is one of them. And there were, you know, it leaked early, and all the people on TikTok were like, "This is the scariest movie I've ever made," and some people were like, "It's the most boring thing I've ever seen." Because if you can handle that slow, inexorable pacing, then it's terrifying. And there's a lot to say there. Like, I know a lot of the people who probably went to film school or have like a really good sense of media literacy are like, hell yeah, the pacing, that's where it is. The editors among us will cringe a little bit, because the whole trope about editors is that if they were in charge, every movie would be like 45 minutes long. So yeah, that's one of the things that I liked about Europa Report. It's like, yeah, it's not the best movie I've ever seen. It doesn't have to be. But the premise of that is, hey, we sent I don't know if it's a probe really, but it's a ship full of scientists, astronauts, to Europa, one of the moons of Saturn, right?
I believe it's Jupiter.
Jupiter, thank you. Europa? Why did I think it was Saturn? Anyway.
They both have a lot of moons. I need to
drink the rest of this coffee. Jupiter does have a lot of moons, in my defense. So they're like, hey, let's send a probe to Europa and see what happens, because we're detecting some signs that there might be more going on there. And
turns out, yes, there is.
Turns out, yes, there is. And some unfortunate things happen, and you end up watching the assembled footage of like the recovered surveillance from that mission.
Yeah.
And it's quite good. I think that's also why I liked Apollo 18, even though that one was a far less good quality.
But it had moon rock crabs.
It did have moon rock crabs, spider things. Yeah.
So, Kenneth Lupus Familior Eris, nice, says, I love cosmic horror because it can show up organically in other genres. The line between sci-fi and cosmic horror, it can be especially thin. And actually, that thinness...
The line between a lot of these is thin.
That's true, right? So, one thing to remember is genres are something that people erect post hoc after watching lots of media, right? Like, they're not firm categories that are lines to never be crossed or anything. Genres are the kind of thing that people talk about after the tropes are already floating around and being used. So, and also, the connection between cosmic horror and sci-fi can be traced right back to Lovecraft, where a number of his stories involved things that we would recognize as very obviously sci-fi tropes, right? So, like, The Haunter in Darkness, as an alien species, it has things about, like, cybernetic body enhancement, it has alien abductions, it has the idea of aliens coming to Earth for various resources. Which ones is not clear, which is a good idea, because once you tell your audience exactly which resource the alien is after, it usually stops making sense, so just keep it mysterious, right? Like, just... Why do these beings from Pluto have to come to Earth to start mining things in mountains? Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. That's not the important part.
Or At the Mountains of Madness is all about, like, ancient horrific aliens seeded life on Earth, and the last remnant of their civilization can be found in these ruins deep in the interior of Antarctica, which when it was written was still very much unexplored.
Largely unexplored.
Yeah. I mean, to some extent it's still unexplored now in terms of people going to those places, but, like, pretty sure we don't have the tallest mountains in the world in Antarctica that are full of cyclopean, eldritch stone ruins from an ancient race from 4 billion years ago. Pretty sure that's not there. Although...
if we want...
That's what they would want us to think, and we can't go and freely explore Antarctica, as we've been told by the Flat Earthers. So maybe that's what they're hiding. It's not the Flat Earth, it's actually the ancient aliens.
You know what's funny is I just thought, well, what if we set a cosmic horror movie in the tallest mountains? And then I was like, no, we've already got that. It's the first 22 minutes of The Empty Man, which is set in Bhutan.
Yep, exactly. Which also, if you haven't seen The Empty Man, I can you have to be really into the sort of... It touches on a little bit of cosmic horror stuff. It's certainly very cosmic horror feeling in the first 20 minutes. But then once the actual main action of the movie starts, it turns into, like, at first it's like a weird crime thing, and then it goes back into the horror stuff. And, like, I'll say this. I think I think most people who like horror will absolutely love the prologue to The Empty Man. And then...
Kip did.
You will have to be a certain kind of horror fan to really get into the rest of it. And it's also a movie that I think benefits from a second watch. Because my first watch, I was just like, it's fine. But then I watched it again, and I was like, oh, okay, actually, no. This is... I like this.
I tell the story a lot because it's kind of a cautionary tale. I signed up to this movie to go test screen it, which is one of the perks of living in Southern California, is you frequently get invites to go be in the test audience, and... you can see rough cuts of movies before they finish, like, the effects and the sound balancing, things like that. And it gives the filmmakers, like, a general idea of how it's hitting, or if something's just really not working, they can try to, like, recut it or edit it down. Because mostly those type of screenings take place either right after the first most rough cut is finished, or not super long before it goes to wide release. So in some cases they can do reshoots, and in some cases they just can't. But for this one, I was like, ooh, James Badge Dale's gonna be in, like, a spooky thing, like, let's do it. And I went in, and, like, obviously the whole theater, I've gotten to the point where I actually kind of prefer test audiences because people aren't afraid to react during the movie. People tend to like reserve behavior when they're watching movies, like in a general audience, unless you're at a film festival, in which case those are also really fun. But the first 22 minutes really, really worked. Everybody super dug that. And then the middle part, everyone was very confused.
It's a
and
very
then by the end,
part.
everyone's like, there's like 3 parts to this movie and we don't understand how they tie together, like what's going on here. And I was in the focus group afterward, and everyone, that was the general sentiment. And I think the problem there wasn't that it's a cosmic horror movie, wasn't that it has 3 kind of distinct segments. It's that they were telling a cosmic horror story, and they switched the point of view from like the sort of omniscient third person in the first act, which is the prologue, but I call it the first act. And they switched it to who's supposed to be the protagonist, and they tell it from his point of view, and that is what confused people. And I feel like that probably could have been done a little different. There's probably an alternate universe where the movie begins with James Badge Dale's cop character, detective, whatever, and you're like, what is going on? And then in the middle or towards the end, you see a flashback to Bhutan, and that fills in all the, oh my god, that's what's really going on. And then by the time you come back to the final scene, you're like, oh, everyone's super screwed. That's a possible way to cut that differently to confuse people less, but I was not prepared to be so confused by it, because normally like I have a really high level of media literacy, and I really enjoy people telling stories from an unusual point of view, which is why I think Hereditary worked for me, because it's a possession movie told from the perspective of the person being possessed. So yeah, that one, it's really good. I think you need to go in knowing that they give you all of the lore dump first, instead of dropping it in a more traditional place. And if you go in knowing that, it's a little less difficult to parse.
Yeah, I would agree. Although I would actually also say that is one of those cosmic horrors that does not really go into sci-fi horror. Same with The Void. The Void does not have a whole... We actually just watched that with Kip, who's in the chat, by the way. And remember, every super chat equals 1 prayer for Kip's well-being. So, we've had, I think, 4 prayers so far. And obviously, the more the super chat is worth, the more effective the prayer is. Because, I think it's something like, the prayers of the rich man availeth much. I think that's in the Bible. Right? That's in there. Isn't it? Oh, is it not? Did I get it wrong?
No.
Oh. Wait, what am I thinking?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
Don't
also,
worry about it. That's not the important part.
No, it's not. And also, I want to say that the next planned emoji is a Mudkip Davis head. So, if you are someone who likes emojis, gifted memberships, and we unfortunately probably need a whole bunch, because I believe we're over 100 away. So, like, you know, if you gave 100 gifted memberships, I would go drink all 4 of my bottles of rum. So...
And then you would be dead.
No, I wouldn't. They're nip bottles.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be fine. Well, I mean, okay, I would be reasonably inebriated, but I wouldn't die. At least not from that, I don't think.
Okay.
Liver, how you doing?
It's so funny. In the chat, Jillian Wren says that the daughter of the woman who was in Carnival of Souls sent her a series of snippy messages. And I think that's funny. Like, Carnival of Souls.
Not the same
that
thing.
To me, that was actually a pretty good movie. I would put it up there with Jacob's Ladder in terms of like the psychology of it and the weirdness. You think like, oh, this is some supernatural stuff happening and maybe it's ghosts or I don't know what's happening. But then you realize like towards the end what's actually going on. So I would say those movies are very much like spiritually successful successors. You knew what I was trying to say.
Yes. Glarnbudin asks if we're talking about boning the xenomorph. Well, Chesh isn't here. So...
Excuse you, I am the resident monster fucker around here.
That's true, but you don't talk about boning all that much. At least not compared to Chesh.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Chesh might be my most libidinous channel guest.
Yeah.
You gotta say it all fancy because I'm a fancy dinosaur. Yeah. She man, watch the Star Trek games with her in them. And there's a reason why her character Dr. Tregan had a reputation for asking every new alien species about their sex habits. It's because that's what she did. It's like, I'm a scientist, it's important information. It's like, yeah, but is it a first contact question?
It's a Rubik's asks if Chesh is a bard. No, I've come to accept the unfortunate reality that I am the bard.
I mean,
I don't think Chesh is a bard.
There can be more than one bard, but I think Chesh is more of a rogue.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other thing, right? The bard stereotype about being libidinous and promiscuous, not actually a necessary part of being a bard. Yep. You don't have to be either.
That's taken off as such a big thing that they're like horny himbos. I don't understand that.
Oh, it's easy. It's because being a charisma-based character, they're good at being that, so people lean into it. Because basically, if you want to be
I personally find that to be a failure of imagination because there's more than one way to show charisma, and that's the laziest one to me, but
I'm not
hot takes.
I'm not going to disagree, but I'm just going to say, if you want to play the character that can seduce everyone, basically you're going to need a high charisma. And there's really only a couple classes where that's really, really important, and it's Sorcerer and Bard. And the Bard already has the music thing going, which, you know, that's how you get groupies, is with music. So, like, I'm not saying I like it, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be something that people every once in a while go against. I get it, though. I understand why that trope is there. But, yeah.
I mean, it says that paladins have minimum 17 charisma, so...
Well, okay, that was true in second edition. Yeah, nowadays.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Well, okay, so warlocks also are charisma casters, but so are sorcerers, right? You could be the charming, seducing sorcerer because you're going to have a high charisma score.
Pickup artist class, like Liz D says. Yeah, that's kind of what that is.
Yeah, a little bit. All right.
That's why to me it's a little bit lazy, but again, hot take.
I mean, you don't have to do it. Just do something else. Be a bard that isn't that way.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, so somebody was actually asking earlier what makes something sci-fi horror specifically, and I feel like we didn't really discuss that.
Okay.
Science fiction, most people probably have a good idea of what makes it sci-fi, but it's fiction that has enough plausibly scientific elements in it to think, yeah, that could probably happen. So you've got something like 2001: A Space Odyssey. That is extremely hard sci-fi, right? It's got a lot of very philosophical concepts in it, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean it takes place in space. That's common, but it doesn't require you taking place in space. There's a sci-fi movie called Primer that's about time travel that's basically discovered in somebody's garage, and that just takes place here. It's extremely, like, mundane in terms of setting, but it is one of the most hard sci-fi movies, like, ever made, and the math is actually accurate, because Shane Carruth has a degree in math.
You know what?
So,
that reminds me, this isn't horror, but it reminds me that one of my favorite things that ever happened in any piece of media was that the writers of Futurama created a theorem and had it published while making one of the movies, the Futurama movies. So there is, in fact, a Futurama theorem, which is a valid, proven mathematical theorem that has been published in an actual peer-reviewed math journal. And it was just there to resolve some of the gags in one of the Futurama movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Oh, that is awesome. And in the continuity of the show, it was the math was done by the Harlem Globetrotters. Those are the ones who pulled out the chalkboard and proved the theorem.
By the way,
amazing.
Claude Simeon just mentioned one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh,
The remake of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum
yes,
and Gina Davis.
that is definitely some
That-
sci-fi horror right there.
That's sci-fi because, like, it's, teleportation, but it's also got body horror, because if
Mhm.
you know, you know. And it's also tragic. That's one of the few movies that it's hard for me to rewatch because I cry at the end every single time. The final scene with Brundlefly,
Yeah.
even when I was a kid, I was like, I don't care. And like, shout out Gina Davis, like, for doing a great job in that role. She's also one of my birthday twins.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Although, whenever I watch that movie, I still have stuck in my head the final scene from the original The Fly, which is the fly with the human head trapped in the spider web going, "Help me! Help
No!
me!" And then one of the characters
No!
just squishes it with a rock. Yeah. So that was... There's a question. Have people seen both the Fly with Jeff Goldblum and the original The Fly from, like, was it the 50s or the 40s or something?
Let me make sure. It's from 1958, the original.
Okay, 50s.
Like,
Yeah.
late 50s. No.
Because, I mean...
But I mean, of course it's got body horror in it, because Cronenberg.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is sort of his thing.
That's the king of body horror.
Yeah.
Videodrome.
Actually, we watched that too, didn't we? We watched Videodrome.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that count as sci-fi horror?
I don't know that it's sci-fi horror necessarily. I mean,
the man has his hand turned into a handgun.
yeah, but I mean, it's Cronenberg. It's kind of like its own genre. It's like philosophical body horror because, the medium is the message and the VHS tape going into your stomach and all that. Like, it's...
Yeah, the VHS tape that gets inserted into your stomach vulva that you've grown. Which is...
It's one of the only times that James Woods is tolerable. So...
Oh, Sable Eagle asked an interesting question. Is Gremlins horror? And I'm going to go with yes. It is a horror comedy.
Yeah, it's comedy horror.
Yeah. So there are a number of such movies. One of my favorites is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I really enjoy that one.
Yeah. So I made a list. You may have heard of it. It's this. It's like a list of the most commonly recommended movies that I tell people, and I got tired of just trying to remember all the cool stuff that I recommend, so I just threw them on a spreadsheet. And there's well over 200. It's almost 300 movies long. And
you and I have already seen almost all of them.
Tetsuo, the Iron Man, is definitely on there. But I realized very quickly that the comedy horror section of it is by far the longest. And it's the one that people have seen almost every example of. Because it's easy. It's like Beetlejuice, Ghostbusters, Shaun of the Dead, Rocky Horror Picture Show. What was the other ones that I put on there? Teeth.
Yeah, Teeth. Jeez.
Yeah, and like the Addams Family, like these are movies that they're funny. They're just, the backdrop is something like a little spooky.
Yeah.
Jennifer's Body, which was to me hysterically funny. I like that movie quite a bit. So
Jasper title Jasper title sloshing the mighty for €6 says, "Help me! Help me!" Also, there's a Fly 2 from the early 90s with the son of Brundlefly. I do think that I knew that. I think so what's her face? I can't remember the character's name. But she got pregnant from Jeff Goldblum's character, and then the sequel picks up with, "Hey, how does that go?" And the answer is not great. Not ideal.
Ralph is correct. Ghostbusters 2 or even Gremlins 2 is horror in the way Evil Dead is horror. It's the setting, not the theme. Yeah. Evil Dead, the first one, was funny, but not intentionally.
Right, yeah.
It was exclusively because they had no budget.
Yeah.
So...
one thing is, the more recent Evil Dead movies have been leaning...
Oh, so good!
Well, so the thing I want to talk about is that, well, first, yeah, they are really good, but they've been leaning a little bit harder into the horror while keeping some of the comedic stuff. But I feel like they haven't been funny enough for me to really think of them as horror comedy. It's more just horror that has some humorous stuff in it, and I know that that's sort of a, it's a subjective thing. There's a continuum problem there, but I do think it's been working, right? Like, we saw one of the only movies I've seen in the last few years in the theater was Evil Dead Rise, which I saw with you when I was in LA, and that was great.
So good. That opening scene alone was worth the price.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the opening to that was just great.
Just the moment that stuck the landing for me in Evil Dead Rise is chick literally rising out of the lake as the title comes up with her. I was like, yes!
Yeah, no.
That's pure cinema.
Yeah, it was excellent. And I do like that, why am I drawing a blank? Ash. The actor's name.
Evil Dead?
Yeah, the guy who plays Ash. I can't remember. Bruce Campbell. Yeah, okay, there it is. When she said Bruce, I was like, yep, got it. Sorry, sometimes I blank on names. It happens.
That's okay. That's okay.
I do like that he was involved in that, but he's been like, look, I'm going to stay involved in this franchise, but I'm done being covered in fake blood.
Yeah, he was like, I'll give you my voice and maybe a producer thing, but I'm he's done his time in the trenches.
Right. I've been covered in fake blood enough times in my life. I don't need it anymore.
Listen, if you've never been covered in fake blood, you don't understand the misery that it can cause. Like, did you see me just have like a freaking war flashback just now?
Was it a flashback to your time on the set of The Walking Dead?
Yes.
Yeah, I could tell. In case you're wondering, Vishanti has been a zombie on The Walking Dead who was killed by... Who was it that killed you with the stop sign?
Oh, Maggie cut my head in half with it wasn't a stop sign, but it was like a different type.
It was a street sign of some kind. Which, by the way, I don't know that a street sign can actually cut through a human, but one of the things I've learned about becoming undead is that your bones become made out of
partially rotted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the thing in it happened a lot in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where like there's no way that a broken drumstick could go through a human sternum. Like, I just don't buy it. But it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Sable Eagle drop ginger snaps. Heck yeah.
Well, Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says, here's a tricky one. Horror animation. Any thoughts? And Kip needs to feel better. Well, that is one prayer for Kip right there. So, I'm trying to think of some animated horror movies that I've seen.
Mad God.
Okay.
I think I wouldn't put Heavy Metal on there specifically, but it is animated and anthology, so it's somewhat close because it's pretty violent.
Some of those shorts I would say, can count as horror.
But yeah, what's the one about the rabbits?
Watership Down?
There's although that, I can't watch that ever again. Thanks for ruining my childhood.
Too traumatizing.
No, I was gonna say there's a stop motion animation that's similar to Mad God. It's something about a house, and I'll figure it out later. But yeah, it's not often done, but it can be very effective.
I'd argue that Coraline counts as an animated horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Regularly comes up.
And while the mind behind the Coraline story is
Perfect Blue's on my list. Thank you.
Yeah, Coraline was well done, and it was definitely horrifying. That's another thing, is there's a lot of horror that is
The Wolf House. That's what I was thinking about.
Okay. There's a fair bit of horror that's aimed at younger audiences that I still think works pretty well, even if you're an adult, as long as you're willing to go where that wants you to be, which is like in the mindset of like a kid experiencing this stuff. If you can get into that mindset for yourself, I think it can work. Dutch Place of Hostility's Tunicate with another $5 prayer for Kip's well-being says, the premise behind my homebrew Call of Cthulhu game is to lean into the horror experiences I had as a kid, leaning into the unknown in the mundane. I like that. I think one of the
Moorhead and Benson movies.
Yes. I think one of the things that I really took home about doing stuff like Call of Cthulhu, TTRPG stuff, is like, what does it really mean to experience these things? And an example I was given is, suppose one day, perfectly ordinary day, you go to lay down in bed. But then your bed grows a mouth full of fangs, and tries to eat you. Then you fend it off, and and now at this point, everything that you can tell about your bed is it's perfectly ordinary. What? Now what? Are you going to lay back down in that
Crazy
bed?
for a few minutes? Like, what? Do you tell anyone?
Yeah,
Like,
do you
what's
tell
happening?
anyone you tell is going to say that you're crazy because that's crazy. And you have no proof, and yet it happened to you. What do you do with that? And there's no good answer. All of the answers are bad answers. And to me, that is what I try to infuse when I'm running a horror type TTRPG. Is like, not only is there a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on, but like there is not a good way to deal with it. The only ways are bad. Jasper.
Again.
Oops, sorry.
And Benson.
Jasper, title sloshing the mighty for €5 says, that must be the vulva. So it's a girl house.
I don't
Maybe
think I
it's
mentioned this to you before. Have you seen this Silent House with a young Elizabeth Olsen? It's allegedly shot in one take. It's not, but
most things
whatever,
that are
don't
supposed
ask
to have been taken in one take aren't actually.
Yeah,
and
it's set in real time. Like the setting is real time, but
don't think I have.
Okay, it'll mess you up. I think that we should watch it.
All right,
I've seen it a few times, but
it'll mess you up is usually my cue for like, yeah, let's do it. It'll be a good time.
Well, it's the type of it'll mess you up is not necessarily that it's scary, but when you find out what the scary thing is, it's humans are the real monsters, and yeah, I'll tell you more later because I don't want to get into any more details.
That is one of the big themes in a lot of horror, is that what if the real monster is humans all along? Yeah, I know.
It involves a type of familial abuse that can be very triggering.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
That reminds me. In case you don't know, or people probably don't know who this is, but there's a guy, Smokey Saint. And he recently said on a Sal Cordova video that I used to be such a nice guy. And remember how you told me what the disturbing thing was with that movie?
Yeah.
That's kind of the disturbing thing about Smokey Saint.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't prove it, but then again, based on his own statements, yeah. So hey, guess what? I don't care if that guy thinks I'm mean.
Ralph has a potential solution to your bed problem. Disassemble the bed, look for answers. Reassure yourself normality has resumed, then learn to sleep in a hammock.
Yeah, but even then, right? Like, that learning to sleep in a hammock is itself going to come across as one of those, like... So we're talking about the game Call of Cthulhu, right? Which has an insanity mechanic in it, right? So you have sanity points, and when you lose too many of them at once, or you go down to 0 current sanity points or whatever, you gain these, like, temporary or sometimes indefinite or even permanent little bits of insanity. Now, this is not supposed to be a psychology simulator, so I don't want to hear from all the people with psychology degrees talking about how inaccurate the Call of Cthulhu mental health simulation is. I know that. It's there to replicate tropes from cosmic horror, not to be an accurate simulator of how human minds work. But that would be the kind of thing that I would call one of those indefinite insanities that would happen to you in Call of Cthulhu, right? Where, like, you refuse to sleep in regular beds anymore. You only sleep in hammocks now. Why? Because, as far as you know, your bed tried to eat you once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did that actually even happen? Hard to say. But you're pretty sure it happened.
Sleeping in a synthetic web pouch is an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, there are some really comfy hammocks out there, though. Oh, the one that we have at Casa Dino, I don't always trust it because it's been known to have a scorpion in the folds of the thing. So anytime I'm going to use it, I have to make sure that I thoroughly shake it out, just in case there's a hiding stingy arachnid in there.
Listen, I just, because you mentioned it, I have to mention the Hills Have Eyes remake. They had a scorpion handler on set because they were filming in, like, freaking Morocco or Mauritania or something. And when you're on a production that has an actual scorpion wrangler, I think that's the part where I'm like, I think I'm good. I might not need this paycheck.
Here's the thing, though. The scorpions that tend to get used in Hollywood tend to be like emperor scorpions, which are like the biggest and scariest looking, but also like the least offensive of all the scorpions.
Does not matter.
Okay.
Does not matter.
Glarn Boudin for $5, once again helping out with a prayer for Kip. Says, hot take, Call of Cthulhu's Insanity mechanic did irreparable damage to cosmic horror as a genre, and simplifies it all down into saw spooky, now you're dead. So the thing is, I don't know how you would do a Call of Cthulhu without some kind of sanity mechanic, and I also don't know what I would do that does not boil down to you lose points and now you're dead, because the same argument can be made of hit points, right? Hit points don't make any sense. They really don't. They don't clearly represent anything. In many games where you just like get a little bit stronger physically, or like you learned a new spell or something, and now you can survive more stabbings with a sword. Like, what is that? I don't like. Fundamentally, it doesn't make any sense. And sanity points are the same way. But ultimately,
it's a game.
You have to gamify
fiction.
it.
Don't worry about it.
You have to gamify it.
MST3K rules apply.
Yeah. Just relax.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it ruined, or I don't even think it damaged cosmic horror, unless of course when you're watching non-TTRPG cosmic horror content, you're trying to think about the mechanics of the game, but you shouldn't be doing that. Just like you shouldn't be like watching, I don't know, like Game of Thrones, and then thinking about like, oh, I wonder what class and level Jon Snow is. Like, what are you talking about? Stop it. Don't do that. Because that's not what's happening. Or the same thing, like, where if you're watching, like, or maybe you're reading, like, a Warhammer book, and you're like, that guy's strength is only strength 4 on the tabletop game. There's no way that he could... Stop. Stop it. Not what's going on.
Error.
Yeah. Do not think about non-game fiction in terms of game mechanics, unless you're doing lit RPGs, in which case that's the intent of the author, is for you to think about game mechanics in terms of what's going on, because that's the whole point of lit RPGs.
Yes. Cosmic horror, seriously, because so many people keep bringing it up, and like we've kind of tilted back into it. I think by far cosmic horror is my favorite. Sci-fi is a very, very, very close second. I like things that tickle the neurons, and the idea that there are things in the universe which are so vast and unknowable and ancient and inscrutable that it just breaks your brain. That is both terrifying in a way that can't be articulated and also really fascinating.
Now, Glarn Boudin sends another $5 prayer for Kip, saying, my beef is that the mechanic has kind of become the default in cosmic horror. You look at the horrors, you go insane, the end, it's boring. And so here's what I will say. That,
if you were just going to call it PTSD, that would seem kind of trite.
But also, part of the problem, I think, is that it is really easy to do cosmic horror badly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, it's very easy to take the superficial tropes of cosmic horror, like tentacles, characters that go insane, and sci-fi stuff, and then just kind of shove them together and make a conventional and fairly bland horror movie that has tentacles, people that go insane, and some sci-fi stuff. But the problem is that all of that stuff, the insanity, the tentacles, all that stuff, is really supposed to be in service of the feeling of this cosmic vastness that is beyond you, and how small and insignificant you're supposed to feel in the face of that. But the problem is that just tentacles and people who go crazy on their own don't do that. You have to actually be able to evoke those feelings. And you can do it without a bunch of tentacles and people who go insane. I would argue that The Void, which is one of the best cosmic horror movies in quite a long time, does it quite well, and is largely absent of tentacles except for a few little areas. And also, the characters, other than, the obviously insane antagonist, they don't really go very crazy. And I think it's really
overwhelmed with the what the heck is going on vibe, which is exactly how most people would react in that situation.
Oh, yeah. But yeah,
this doesn't make sense. I don't know how to explain this. Everything sounds insane, and yet it's happening. And
right. And so I would say that, like, yeah, it's a sign of bad cosmic horror, because there's a lot of bad cosmic horror out there, right? And in fact, some of my favorite cosmic horror type stuff doesn't actually have a lot of the crazy tentacles and stuff, right?
Benson and Moorhead. That's it. I'm calling it. Okay. So Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead's, their work to me it's a modern, elevated, yet grounded version of cosmic horror, because it shows the magic within the mundane, or the magic or the supernatural or unexplainable just behind the curtain of reality. And some of it is enough to really break your brain, but everything feels so normal, yet not normal somehow, that element is really what messes you up. Like, if you were to be walking around your freaking Burbank, LA apartment, and you open up the hallway closet and stuff is just levitating, what do you do? Like,
I call it my neighbor who was always offering me a smoke.
Yeah, I would. If stuff just randomly levitates in your house in LA, like, this isn't, ancient places, this isn't some weird eldritch location, it's your freaking apartment, right?
Plus, it's all part of the Shitty Carl cinematic universe.
That's right.
Which is the best named of all the cinematic universes.
That's right, the Shitty Carl universe. If you're at a campground,
Annihilation was good.
Yeah, if you're at a campground and the people don't seem to have aged at all in the, 10, 15 years or whatever since you've been there, and you're like, well, that's a little weird, but okay, maybe something in their diet, I don't know. And the
woman who used to change your diapers is suddenly looking really hot, and she looks about your age all of a sudden?
Yeah. And then you walk around the campground and things seem to maybe disappear sometimes, and you're not sure why. Or
there's too many moons.
See something under the water, and you're like, well, what if I just dive in and see if I can, like, figure out what that is? And you swim to the bottom of the lake, and you come up with a little box, and it's got Polaroids of you. Like, what's happening? Right?
Good stuff.
Yeah, and then by the end you discover, this is what's happening. Not good.
So someone else brought up Annihilation, which is another cosmic horror that goes into sci-fi, right? Because the precipitating thing is something landing from outer space or crashing, whatever, right? And also, I gotta say, I hate that movie did not do terribly well at the box office, because it was not doing terribly well at a time when, specifically, there was this whole fight going on in the culture wars about whether an all-female-led Ghostbusters team was too woke, or it was feminism gone crazy, or if it was just a bad movie, which, spoiler alert, it was just a kind of bad movie. That's it. That's all it was.
Favorite vine of all time, and I will not hear any arguments, is the one where the guy goes, 4 female Ghostbusters leading a movie? I'm an adult virgin.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, that during that whole time, there was an original property, at least in terms of films, right? Like, it was based on a book, but whatever. There's an original film that's not based on any of the previous films that does not gender switch any characters from your childhood, so you don't have to worry about that. And that was actually an amazingly good cosmic horror, female-led, sci-fi thriller type thing. And no one seemed to even notice. And that really annoyed me, because it was excellent. I remember at the time thinking, why are people sleeping on this? This is great. And then no, all people cared about was complaining about frickin' Ghostbusters.
I mean, that was an Alex Garland movie, right? Annihilation. His movies tend to be, minus Civil War, they tend to be a little bit understated, and because it didn't go schlocky with action or whatever, I feel like maybe the marketing didn't accurately.
It had a zombified human-bear hybrid that screamed and came with a human bear. What more schlockiness do you need? And the
screams were human! Yeah. It was so good!
if you haven't seen
Yeah, and
Annihilation,
see, like,
you should definitely
Plot
go see
Simeon brings up
that.
Arrival, which was another female-led sci-fi, like,
Yeah.
high concept thing, and that one was freaking amazing. Like, it might have just been timing, honestly.
Plus, it was the DC Marvel crossover we all needed.
Right? No, I can't. Yeah, the help me, like that screaming. Oh, so good. Yeah, I was gonna say Pipple in the chat is another Benson and Moorhead enjoyer.
Good.
Talking about like the endless. So I literally could do a whole stream on just the Benson and Moorhead like filmography, and
Actually,
they've got some new stuff dropping this year that's going to be coming out.
I'm in the same.
It's already starting to hit festival circuits, and they're getting really good reviews, and I can't freaking wait
Good.
to see them.
I'm in about the same boat
but-
as that. As Endless was my first Benson and Moorhead film, and it remains. I think it remains my all-time favorite. I would have to probably rewatch a few of them just to make sure, because I mean, I don't think I've seen a Benson and Moorhead film that I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, even Synchronic, which I think shouldn't have suffered from like the Netflixification that it did.
Yeah.
That one
it.
actually had a lot of really good things to say, and it does
Yeah.
tie into the larger like.
As far as I'm concerned, the Red Flowers
Universe,
made
but-
it as part of the Shitty Carl cinematic universe.
It absolutely is, because I mean, even that the time they go back to the one era and the guy's in a tribal setting and he's got one of the little hoodoo fuckmajigs. So yeah, it's absolutely connected.
That was our
feel like it-
one F-bomb, by the way.
No, I already said F-bomb earlier. You just
Aw,
didn't
damn
catch
it.
it. As I have repeatedly stated that you tend not to catch mine.
Well, I caught that one.
I already said one earlier in the chat, actually. And
So,
I'm surprised that you.
Wait, you said you've typed it in chat, that doesn't count.
No, I didn't type it in chat. I said it
Oh,
out
you
loud.
you read it from chat? Okay. Well,
No, I literally said I am the resident monster fucker.
oh yeah, you did. Now you've done
And
it
you just
2 times. Yeah, and then I talked about Chesh. Oh, Mothra's here. Drink. Which, if any, of the Godzilla movies counts as horror? And sorry, the drink counter did go to 3. That is because the drink counter program froze on me, so it is not a Dapper's a professional. But I would argue that the original Godzilla counts as a horror
-1.
movie. And yeah, Shin and -1. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I also have heard that in addition to a -1 sequel being greenlit, there are now rumors that a Shin Godzilla sequel has been greenlit as well. Which, yeah, I would be very excited for a continuation to either or both of those. So...
yeah, Pillbluck is talking about Synchronic. Like, the thing about Synchronic, I think that it's a little bit underrated. People kind of sleep on it. Is it gave you probably the most tangibly sci-fi explanation for what the Red Flowers do, to the point where it addresses 40 space-time in a way that the other movies didn't. So
Yeah.
if you're time traveling, it literally depends on your physical point in space as to where you go back to. So if you take the flower and you time travel to, the Ice Age or whatever, it's because you're sitting in this one spot in your living room, and if you move a few feet in any direction, it takes you to a completely different era. And I'm like, that is good sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
People very frequently do not reckon with the space part of the space-time phenomenon. Nobody ever accounts for the fact that the Earth is, going around the sun and that we're moving in the galaxy. So if you were to time travel, you have to compensate for the space thing as well. So, good shit.
Yeah, also, I don't know if... So, I did see that there is buffering. My frames going up from OBS are fine, so there must be a problem between, like, the internet connection here. YouTube. Oh, but hey, there's Mothra again. So I do not know why that is happening, but it does not seem to be on my end. It seems to be somewhere between here and YouTube. So I'm sorry about that. But we did finish the next poll. So what's up next? Cosmic Horror won with 40% of the vote, followed by Folk Horror with 37%, then Supernatural Horror with 15%, and Slasher at 6%. So what I'm getting from this is that this is a crowd that does not care about ghosts or murderers. They only care about eldritch entities and sci-fi. So no ghosts, which is too bad. I actually really like a good supernatural horror. It's sort of my
hard for me to enjoy them now, but
well, it's sort of my comfort food. It's like eating a big bucket of like, I don't know, like fried chicken or popcorn or a big bowl of mac and cheese or something. Like, is there a whole lot to this? Is it some kind of like fancy thing?
Fried chicken, yes, actually.
Well, okay.
It's good protein.
Like, sure, it is good protein. But like, it's the kind of thing that I eat when all I want is to just be comfortable and not have to really do any work. I just want to eat some mac and cheese or something like that and watch a supernatural horror flick. Olivia Williams, who's been a member for 38 months, says, just 2 drinks, Ghidorah, and there's another drink right there. We're actually at 3 now, but now we're at 4. Oh, and there's Mothra again. Thanks, Mothra.
Exorcist, Poltergeist. Yeah, I actually really like the Poltergeist movies because those made it more than just, oh, it's a spooky ghost. Like, these were terrifying entities that were an outgrowth of a wrong committed, and it's just that whole thing. It went pretty hard into some almost cosmic things that was sitting right on the doorstep, because like when you have a house being sucked into a singularity, that's a little more than just regular spooky horror,
Yeah.
That's a little bit past a ghost story.
Also, I'm still seeing good upload rate on OBS, and I'm still seeing that we're getting occasional buffering. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can think of is there's something on YouTube's end.
Here's another weird hot take. I actually am not like a super fan of The Exorcist. Like, I saw it when they re-released it in theaters when I was in like, I think, high school, and it was the slightly longer cut where, Regan backwards spider crawls down the stairs, which was like pretty good. But I just remember like the first maybe half of the movie was boring as hell. Nothing interesting happened, and then all you hear about is the possession scenes, but that's like the last half of the movie. And I just remember thinking, like, isn't this a possession movie? When's this actually going to start turning into a possession movie? And it just took way too long to get going.
Canis Lupus Familior Eris.
I saw that.
Yeah, has a good question. Does Constantine count as supernatural horror, or is that more action focused? And I would say that is a supernatural action horror film, because there's a lot of horror stuff.
In my list under action blockbuster, I put it up there with like Underworld, Resident Evil, Chronicles of Riddick, Doom, the Doom movie, which I loved, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Final Destination. Like, those are like, to me, those are more blockbuster movies.
But
the setting is like supernatural, but it was an action movie.
I would say Constantine does have a fair bit of horror in it, though.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, overall, I would. Oh no, this is when I say something isn't strictly horror. That is not a criticism, right? Because I don't need every movie to be a horror movie. So like, but yeah, I would say that while it has horror elements, it's primarily an action movie. But like, if you wanted to call it like action horror, I wouldn't fight you on that.
Yeah.
And it's got Tilda Swinton, so that's always nice.
Thank you, Kip. He says, "Thank you. The Exorcist is horribly overrated. It just rode on the coattails of its controversy."
It certainly did do that.
Thank you, Kip.
It's also the reason why I realized that I can't take everything that my French teacher says at face value. Because my high school French teacher claimed to have known the priest from the movie, but the real story behind the movie, where it was a little boy, and then other than the gender swap to a little girl, it was all true. And so, I looked into the true story, because it is based on a true story in the way that horror movies are based on true stories, which is to say that there was a little boy that had an exorcism performed. And like, yeah, most of the stuff that she said was all true, like wasn't even anything that anyone reported as having happened. Some of it, there was a little bit there. But when she was like, "Oh yeah, no, that movie 100% accurate," I was like, but it's not. Oh.
Jillian Wren with another correct opinion. Tilda Swinton and Peter Stormare are the best parts of Constantine.
I
mean, listen, and I'm a
hard to-
Keanu Reeves enjoyer, so I'm not going to undersell Keanu Reeves' role in that. But yeah, Tilda as Gabriel was just mwah, and Peter Stormare as the devil was just inspired casting.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Those were some of the best casting choices like really that you could possibly make there. And yeah, I also love the Satan leaving behind the black like oil slick kind of thing wherever he goes and whatnot, and that's like the physical manifestation of the corruption.
It's like tar.
Like, oh yeah,
it looked like tar because it was like smoking or steaming. Yeah, it was
Great.
good. Ugh.
Great visual on that one. That was perfect.
And his slightly like black veins coming up out of his shirt, like
Yep. Also, the visual of Gabriel with the wings when they finally when they're first revealed, I was like, so that's an effective visual. You guys, whoever was in charge of like special effects and cinematography and whatnot on that, good job.
And the fact that like, yeah, it's Tilda Swinton, and like objectively, that's a woman. It's very much like androgynous in the film, and if you're not a little gay for Tilda Swinton's Gabriel, I have some questions. Like,
Tilda Swinton is the person that Hollywood casts when they want to cast the most androgynous person that they can find.
Yeah.
She also has played numerous men in various movies.
That's true.
So like actually the Suspiria remake, she plays like doesn't she play like two different men and like one other woman or something?
Freaking Tilda. Love her.
I'm
still not over the fact that they cast her as the Ancient One. Everyone knows my beef about that. We'll talk about it some other time, but that was messed up. Even the filmmakers and everybody's admitted that by now, and I was like, well, I bet I could have told you that when you made it, but okay.
No shade on Tilda, though. Not her fault.
She was good. She's always good.
Look, too often people blame actors for bad movies, and it's almost never the actor's fault. I can't say it's never the actor's fault. Sometimes, like
sometimes it is.
Yeah, with what was that sci-fi movie with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith?
After Earth.
Oh, hey, look! They're coming back to save us from the lack of drinks. Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith was a big part of the problem with that movie. That kid just can't act.
Oh, that's not Jada. Jada's the wife.
Oh, what's the kid's name then?
Jaden.
Jaden? Of course.
That's his kid.
Thanks for giving your son the same name as your wife, basically.
Well, yeah, that's how they name both their kids, actually.
I know, I hate it. People in Hollywood, give your kids normal name. Challenge level impossible.
Bruh, it's Hollywood. It's all about freaking ego. These are the most fragile people in the entire world.
I know.
What do you expect?
But yeah, that kid, Jaden. I'm sorry, Jaden. I call you your mom's name.
And I love actors. I do. But it's rough. It kind of develops and reinforces its own, like, mental breakdown.
Yeah. And so Opal Coupler says, After Earth is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so hilarious. But that's the thing. It's hilarious because it's terrible.
Yeah, it's unintentionally hilarious.
A big part of the reason is because Jaden Smith can't freaking act. At all. And like, okay, I know why, right? It's because Will Smith wants to know that his seed is so powerful it can create the next great actor of all time. I get it. I get the ego thing there. It's not much of a secret that Will Smith has a bit of an ego problem. I mean, it's not much of a secret when any actor has a bit of an ego problem. But like, dude, your kid can't act. And as a result, the movie is horrible. That's one of those times where I'll blame I think a different actor could have actually made that movie okay.
I have a very specific critique when it comes to Nepo babies, and it's that many of them, despite having generational wealth and access to probably any program on the planet, they just don't really bother with training that much. I guess they just feel like, it's probably genetic. It's not. It's not.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a craft and it's a skill, and you have to develop it. And you need to train it. Like,
the thing is,
you can't just wing it. And there's a lot of Nepo babies out there who have very successful careers because they're Nepo babies, and not because they have like discernible like talent.
My Unfinished Journey for $2.22 says, "Hail Dapt and Vish, and hail good schlocky fun." Yes, look, schlock is nice. That's one of the reasons why I turn on those supernatural horror movies. It's like, cool, a demon possession movie, and I'll eat some popcorn. Although I will say, one of my least favorite tropes in horror movies, it comes up a lot in supernatural horror movies, is that Christianity equals Catholicism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with all the fancy rituals. Don't worry about the Eastern Orthodox Church. Just don't worry about it.
Oriental Orthodox Church, Church of the East,
nah.
Anglicans don't exist.
There's basically one real representation of Orthodoxy, and that's in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Which, to be fair, is so authentic that the priest that performs the marriage in that movie is in fact an actual Romanian Orthodox priest who performed an actual marriage ceremony, which
kind of sort of technically married Keanu and Winona Ryder.
Yeah, they might actually be technically married over in Romania, maybe. It's a little unclear, but like that was a real priest performing a real wedding ceremony. And
they're so chill about it too. They're both like, yeah, okay, we're probably technically married, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I would personally say that if you didn't have the intent to marry someone, then you probably didn't marry them, no matter what else happened.
Yeah, and the fact that probably neither of them are practicing members of the Romanian Orthodox Church or any Orthodox Church, especially since Winona Ryder's Jewish.
She probably didn't get baptized before that wedding. No. Although, actually, so technically only one party has to be Orthodox to get married in an Orthodox wedding. So, like...
Because, like, didn't he convert or something?
Who, Tom Hanks?
And that's how you...
Yeah, Tom Hanks... he married a Serbian woman, and he is now a fairly active member of the Eastern Orthodox Church. And I believe he goes usually to the Serbian cathedral that's in the area.
Oh.
Yep, so if you search for it, you can find pictures of Tom Hanks doing Christian stuff like carrying the symbolic tomb of Jesus around during an Orthodox Easter ceremony, going in and receiving blessings and a bunch of incense in Orthodox churches and whatnot. So yeah, he seems like one of those people who converted to a religion at first primarily to, make his spouse happier, but then was like, no, okay, I like this. I'm going to stick with it. This is me now. Which, like, hey, man, good for you if you're enjoying that. And also, I can say this about the Eastern Orthodox: they don't typically have preachers standing on street corners harassing people.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's a plus.
Their version of outreach is usually like, hey, you can come to the insert ethnic group festival if you want. We'll give church tours if you want that. And then also, like, if you happen to visit, they'll be like, oh, hey, welcome. If you have questions, make sure you ask. And also, there's food afterwards, so come get lunch. That's most of Orthodox outreach.
My experience with the Lebanese church, Maronite? Is that what they're called?
So that is one of the major churches in Lebanon, although that's technically a Catholic church.
I can't remember if it was Orthodox, but anyway, they didn't stand on street corners. They were just like, hey, we're having a Lebanese food festival, everybody come pull up. And it was literally right behind the campus of our university. It was like you could just walk around the other side of our little soccer field, and it was just right there. So it was like, oh
yeah. Okay, where I grew up, there were like let's see, 1, 2, 3, I think, Greek Orthodox parishes that all did rotating Greek festivals that was just like come and get like Greek food and whatnot. And I will tell you, those were all very well attended, primarily by people who were not going to any of those churches. And that was one of the ways that they helped fund themselves, because they also don't do a whole lot of sermons about tithing or anything. So like those cultural festivals were also one of the ways that those churches stayed above board in terms of their finances.
One of the most surefire ways to get people to show up for things is free food.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Satan616 says you were not recognized as married in Romania by the only by the religious ceremony. Okay, so you would have to go to like a government facility and get some kind of okay. Well, that makes sense.
So Cosmic Horror.
Yeah, we should probably talk about. Well, so Canis Lupus Fem Ilior Eris says, Kingsman is the only movie I've seen portray the kind of church I grew up with. Yeah, so it's not like much of a secret. I was an evangelical when I was first being raised by my adoptive human family, obviously. And yeah, those very rarely get shown in movies. Very rarely.
Yeah, if you're not portraying Roman Catholicism as the sole representative of Christianity, it's always like charismatic or Pentecostal, like
Snake
country
handlers.
church tent revivals and
Yeah.
snake handlers and stuff like that. And I'm just
What was
like,
it, the last exorcism?
Yeah, I was thinking more of the Apostle and stuff like that. Which, by the way, it's got William Duvall and a really young Walton Goggins, and I highly recommend that movie. It's very good.
But yeah, so Cosmic. So obviously, Cosmic, sort of the grandfather of cosmic horror is going to be H.P. Lovecraft. And like we always have to mention before we talk more about
Chambers.
that.
Don't forget Chambers.
Yeah,
because he technically, I think, predates Lovecraft.
Yeah, there are a few beforehand, but it's very clear that the figure of Lovecraft looms large over cosmic horror. And he is sort of the go-to for what cosmic horror is, even though he very obviously had a lot of influences on his own writing. And of course, we do have to mention, yes, in fact, he was a pretty big racist, and that definitely comes through in a lot of the things he wrote. So if you want to get into cosmic horror, and you are unable to set aside the fact that if you're reading Lovecraft, you are going to run into a fair bit of racism in a lot of the stories, then I would recommend not reading it. There you go. But if you are someone who can understand the fact that, yeah, you're reading early 20th century literature from a guy with a privileged upbringing who was white and from a long-standing aristocratic family, like, if that's the kind of thing you can read, then it's a pretty good read. But I understand that for some people, it's not. And so...
I mean, also be aware of the fact that even his friends were like, yo, dial the racism down, bro. Like, you're going a little hard.
To be fair, he did dial it a little bit down after he married a Jewish woman.
Yeah, but as with a lot of people who marry someone who's not white and they themselves happen to be very racist or bigoted or xenophobic, it's very often rationalized as you're one of the good ones, and that is actually something that he would tell her is like, oh yeah, like Jews overall are like blah, 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 and he would say all this horrible shit and be like, yeah, you're one of the good ones though. Like, racists sometimes have black friends, and they'll say, yeah, you're one of the good ones, you're not like the other, and they'll insert slurs, but yeah, it's...
Although, he did actually tone it down overall after that marriage. So, like, in addition to the fact that he was doing that, he did, in fact, become less concerned with things like miscegenation, which is a word that I always hate for existing. The word that in no way should exist. But in addition to the troublesomeness of H.P. Lovecraft, there were also a lot of things that really hit home. Because one of the things is, I think that one part of being human, and especially a human who bothers to reflect on like their spot in the universe and whatnot, is that you realize that in the grand span of the universe, of the cosmos and whatnot, there really isn't a whole lot of significance to any given person or even the human species as a whole. Right? Like, if Earth were to simply blink out of existence tomorrow, the universe would just continue on as if nothing had ever happened.
Yeah. I mean, when you do the math, like, the universe itself has been around for how many billions of years?
I think it's like 13.8 or something.
And humans have had, like, recognizable societies for, like, the most minute fraction of that time.
300,000 years.
So, but I mean, like, recognizable societies don't even go back, like, around 10,000 years.
I'm sorry, but hunter-gatherer societies are societies. Vishanti.
They are societies, but they're not like civilizations and all that crap.
Oh, so
those
we're going
don't
back
go
to
back
city
quite
building.
as far.
Yeah, city building goes back about 5,000 years. So.
Yeah, under 10 at least, and that in the span of the universe in 12, 13 billion years is nothing.
Yeah,
it's a sneeze at best. So,
of the Great Green Arkle Seizure, who sneezed out the universe. as we all know.
So let's talk about cosmic horror a little bit because of that.
That's
and
what I was getting
sci-fi.
into.
Cosmic horror, specifically Event Horizon.
Yes, the prequel to Warhammer 40k. Which is another one of those movies that did not do very well. And I still think it's mostly, most people sort of pass on it. It did not become one of like the cult classics like The Thing did.
I mean, it is it is in the within the people like who like horror and like cosmic horror. Event Horizon is constantly named in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks that it didn't do well initially.
Oh, D and Wing is very happy that Great Green Arkle Seizure is mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Here's a we're gonna start a Q&A and a poll right here. All right. Is Event Horizon a Warhammer 40,000 prequel?
Yes.
And we'll have yes, no, and turtle. Actually, I feel like it wasn't that long ago that I explained to you why people say that, and you're like, no, that checks out. It makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I already knew that because, like, having been through the TV tropes page, it's on there a lot, and there's, like, a whole section dedicated to why people say, like, oh, yeah, that's absolutely a prequel.
Yeah.
So.
And it would be a very, very early prequel because it takes place, I think, about, what, like
20 minutes into the future.
Well, yeah, it's like 28,000 years before the earliest actual, like, books in 40K. Although, technically, The Infinite and Divine starts about 3.5 billion years before now. But that's only for chapter 1. And it very quickly moves on.
Kind of nailed it. Faster than light travel by way of hell.
Yep. So, in case anyone has not seen Event Horizon, it is a sci-fi movie where a space crew, a bunch of basically space truckers, as well as, I think, a scientist and, like, is there one military person?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple
type.
on there. There's, because, I mean, Lawrence Fishburne's character, like, he had some experience with that. But also, shout out Sam Neill's character for wearing the Aboriginal flag, like, way back in the 90s as, like, as one of his patches. That was pretty badass.
Yeah.
I would say.
But, so they're sent out to go to Jupiter because humanity's first FTL-capable ship, the Event Horizon, has reappeared.
Are you sure it was Jupiter?
Yeah, that wasn't in the orbit of Jupiter? Was it Saturn?
I thought it was an outer gas giant. Like, hang on, let me check. I'm pretty sure it was like Uranus or Saturn or Neptune. Neptune. It was Neptune.
Okay, Neptune. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was
Neptune.
like, wait a minute. I thought it was further out than Jupiter.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
it's
Neptune.
Look, all of the gas giants are just far away.
The ship is like halfway into the atmosphere by the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is. Anyway, so yeah, the Event Horizon was out near Neptune, I guess.
Neptune.
And it activated its FTL drive and was never heard from again. But now, several decades later, it has apparently reappeared. And our crew is going to go out and find out what happened. It turns out that what happened is, when you go FTL, what that really means is that you're going to hell.
Yeah. We're just taking a detour through hell.
Yes. And so it comes back, and like there's a whole bunch of body horror stuff, and people are murdering each other. And
the ship's probably alive somehow.
Yeah, like maybe the demons got into the ship and replaced its machine spirits with demons.
It's a haunted house movie in space.
Yeah. And by the way, I gotta say that not only is it going to FTL via hell, 40K, but so is the idea that maybe the machines are now demon-possessed, because that happens in 40K too. A lot.
Yeah. Also, not just that, but hell is just a word. The reality is much, much worse.
Yeah, there's that too. Yep. And so, it's got... A lot of it is just going to be a lot of gore stuff. And that's one of the things with cosmic horror, is a lot of times cosmic horror is in the subtext of a movie. Or a book, or something like that. DM Warps and Spockswing, is this a shared universe with Disney's Black Hole? I don't know, actually. I would have to rewatch Black Hole, because it's been a very long time. I'm pretty sure I haven't watched Black Hole in over 20 years.
Saying, so Event Horizon is Doom. No, I mean, it didn't open a portal to hell so that like demons could spill through, because that's a very like Dante's Inferno version of hell. It's going to a realm that is just so alien and inhuman that it essentially is hellish. And like even one of the characters is like, so we're going through hell, and he's like, hell is just a word. Like that's just something you're trying to label it. The reality of where we actually went is much worse than just that pathetic label.
Although in the logs of what happened, that they listen to the audio logs, there are people talking about hell in Latin, because it's always
in
creepier
Latin.
when you go in Latin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The official language of hell, apparently.
Yeah, basically. Which I've said this before. Using various other languages to be the spooky thing going on in your story doesn't work so well if you're in the audience and you can speak that language. So I remember in like a lot of movies use Latin, right? And my Latin isn't great. I couldn't hold a whole conversation in it. But it's definitely good enough that I usually get the gist of whatever like crazy demon summoning is happening in Latin. And then also I think it was what was it? Archive 81? Is that the name of that Netflix show that only had one season? Yeah, they use Old English for their magical language in that. And yeah, I got an A in my Old English class. So that also I was like, oh, I just understand what they're saying.
That's the
That's
thing with like the opening
creepy.
with the thing, if you speak not Swedish, Norwegian, I think
It's Norwegian.
then it ruins the whole movie, because whatever the guy's yelling, they don't translate it or subtitle it. So
yeah, but
if
if you
speak
happen to speak
Norwegian, you're like,
yeah.
oh, I already know what's going on.
Do not accept that dog in. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, because in case you didn't know, the opening scene of the thing. Well, the opening scene is an alien spacecraft
hasn't
landing.
seen it. Don't ruin it.
I can't ruin it by giving away two scenes that are at the very beginning.
I'm just saying.
Because yeah, the first scene is like an American Antarctic research outpost finding out that there's like a dog running toward them, and there's a Norwegian helicopter with a bunch of hunting rifles firing at the dog. And they're like, "What is happening? Why would you shoot at a dog?
Trying to kill a dog."
Like, what
reasonable question.
Why would you do this? That's a jerk move. Don't kill a poor dog.
Don't kill a dog.
Yeah. Hey, cops. Be more like the American team from The Thing. Don't kill so many dogs.
By the way, I have to concur with Satan616, who writes in the chat, I always cringe hearing American actors trying Romanian without learning it. It's painful. Yeah, we almost never hear any native Romanian speakers in our media. Almost never. We hear all the other Romance languages, Spanish a lot, French a lot, Italian a fair bit, but we never hear native Romanian speakers. So anybody trying to like get those phonemes in their brain is going to be fighting a very difficult uphill battle. And there's only been a couple of movies where, because of my very admittedly rudimentary understanding of Romanian, I've actually been able to pick up on some things where, like, there's this movie Strigoi. It's more of a comedy horror, but because it takes place in Romania, some of the characters do end up speaking it quite a bit, and it made the movie a little more entertaining for me. And then I think Bram Stoker's Dracula, they actually tried maybe to do a little bit of Romanian. I don't think it really worked out that well, but I too also cringe, but it's kind of the nature of the game. It's the least spoken Romance language out of all of them by population, so...
Wait, that can't be true.
Romania's not that big, and Moldova is, like, also not that big, and
but,
there's definitely not as many Romanian speakers as there are Italian, French, and Spanish.
Okay, but
Portuguese.
Are you telling me that there's fewer Romanian speakers than there are Romansh speakers? Or Occitan speakers? Or even Catalan speakers? Or Ladino speakers?
Look, the reason that there's almost no Ladino speakers is 100% the fault of the Nazis, okay?
I'm not disagreeing, but also, you cannot tell me that there are more Ladino speakers than Romanian speakers. I do not believe you.
The fact that Ladino, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, oh yeah, let's just go ahead and throw that under the Romance language. Like, yeah, it's a type of, like, medieval Spanish, but
It's a romance.
It's one of those like weird technicalities.
It's a romance
that-
language the same way Yiddish is a Germanic language. Which I would say it is.
It's a dialect, really. Maybe not.
Here,
Satan says that there's about 20 to 23 million Romanians worldwide. True, Romanians, but do they all speak the Romanian language?
I would imagine most of them probably do.
Maybe, but again, there's a lot of ethnic, like, diaspora communities that don't actually speak, like, the language of their forebears.
All right, I'm checking. We have to check.
Okay.
Romance languages.
I'm not
by
making any
speaker.
claim. I'm just saying, like, these are just guesses here, but
okay, well that's the top 5 romance languages, which means that these are the 5 most common. And of those, Romanian is the smallest, right? So of the top 5 romance languages, Spanish is 46. This is according to Wikipedia. Spanish is 46.5. Portuguese is 24.4. These are percents. French is 20. Italian is 6.1. And Romanian is 2.3. However, by being in the top 5, it means that it's bigger than Catalan, Occitan, Romansh, Ladino.
yeah, but when, like, just in the colloquial sense of the romance languages that people are going to name, when you're not a linguist,
I'm not a linguist.
people are going to name those 5, and of those 5, that's the least spoken.
That's why, if I ever feel like I need to, like, put someone in their place when it comes to, like, romance languages, which doesn't happen very much, but it does every once in a while, I'm like, name 6 romance languages. Go for it. It's like when people start talking about, like, Abrahamic religions, and I'm like,
oh my god, name more
5.
than 3.
Yeah,
literally.
Name 5. Go for it.
Without Googling, name more than 3, and explain how you reached that conclusion.
Yeah, no one...
Yeah.
The people who pontificate about Abrahamic religions never really are able to go past 3. And I've yet to see any of them go past 4, because every once in a while I've managed to get one who will go for, like, I don't know, like Rastafari or something like that, right? Every once in a while they'll get a 4th in there. But, like, you never get, like, Mandaeans or, like, Druze, Yazidis.
Yeah.
You never get Samaritans, Baha'i. Yeah, you never get any of those. Yep.
Yeah.
But remember, I'm a Bob mythicist. There was no Bob. He was a mythical character who was supposed to be up in heaven, and his legend has only been brought down to Earth more recently by current Baha'i people. That was all just made up. Bob mythicist right here. The Bob was part of the Cosmic Sperm Bank, actually.
Okay. Didn't get that sense when I was at the Baha'i Temple in Chicago, but, you know, hey, what do I know?
Well, just like you don't get the sense of the Cosmic Sperm Bank at a Christian church, even though that's actually what Christianity is all about, is this Cosmic Sperm Bank. Sorry, we're supposed to be talking about horror movies, not making fun of Richard Carrier.
Horror in its own right.
I still can't get over the fact that when I was originally just pretty dismissive of Richard Carrier, the argument I thought he made was way better than the actual argument he does make, and then people were like, no, you have to look into it. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, this is way dumber than I could ever have imagined. Yeah. This is like Kent Hovind level, like, goodness. Yeah. What's that? Who's that one guy who basically thinks that the entire, like, New Testament is actually about drugs and sexual abuse?
Oh, yeah. God, we just did a stream about him on Kip's thing. Hang on, don't tell me.
Kip might tell you.
He was the Dead Sea Scroll scholar that ended up going, like...
but yeah,
whatever, I'm gonna check.
Oh, what's his name? Now I can't think of it.
Tip of my tongue, I know.
My brother sent me one of his podcast interviews once and was like, hey, is there anything to this? And I was just like, no. Oh, now I can't remember his name. He always sounds like he's super high, too.
Oh, you're talking about that guy.
Yeah.
The guy who thinks that the Hebrew Bible was actually written in Greek?
Yeah, that guy. Like, that's...
Mr. Smoking Purple?
Yeah, who... My goodness. Kip, help us out.
Words are hard.
That guy...
The neural pathway, it's gone. Ammon Hillman.
Yeah, there we go.
The OG... I was thinking of John Marco Allegro. You were thinking of Hammond Hillman.
Yeah, I was thinking of Hillman. So, Hillman and Carrier, I kind of put on the same, like, level. Where it's just like, you're just making up a whole bunch of stuff that confirms your bias, but that has absolutely no relation to anything that's in any text that we can find, or any archaeological anything. Like, this is all just crazy made-up nonsense. Which, by the way, we're supposed to be talking about some cosmic horror, so let's see.
Look at me back to cosmic horror.
So we've touched on Event Horizon,
The Thing, The Void, The Thing. Event Horizon.
What are some other...
The Lighthouse.
So is The Lighthouse a cosmic horror, or is it just a psychological thriller?
I make the case that it absolutely is cosmic. The way that Willem Dafoe's character treats the light as its own, like, almost godlike entity, the way that it transforms him, all of the little supernatural flashes, I make a strong case that the lighthouse is cosmic.
That's fair. Also, I gotta say, I don't think Kip is going to be miraculously healed.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm selling indulgences here, people, for Kip.
Right.
The one thing Martin Luther told me not to do.
Speaking of Sam Neill, because we did talk about Event Horizon, I listed Possession as a cosmic horror movie, and I think you know why.
Yeah, I can see how it has some cosmic undertones, although...
Like, I know that it's set up as, like, a relationship/divorce movie type thing, but that one scene where he catches her in bed with you-know-what, it's like,
Yeah, it's... certainly is a scene. Like,
it is.
I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of really weird and gross stuff in a lot of horror movies.
Possession is
But that one I was
one
just like,
of them.
oh boy, that's a lot to take in all at once. And then, like, also trying to think about, like logistically, what's happening? And I'm like, you know what? I don't
worry about it.
I don't super need
don't
to
need to know.
Yeah. That's between that woman and that horrible demonic monster clone baby that she's taking
tentacle
care of.
Thingy, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's between those two. Mm-hmm. And whichever
That's one of those things where it's like you walk in on that and you're like, and I'm just gonna close the door. Yep. That's none of my business.
Yep. Carry on, everybody. I'm gonna be in the other city.
Yep, gotta go.
Bye.
Claude Simeon asks if movies like It Follows or Smile more in supernatural than cosmic. Yeah, I mean,
I would say more
Smile to me definitely. I have some problems with that movie, but I feel like it's more supernatural. I tend to not like movies that treat just psychological trauma as supernatural. Those rub me the wrong way.
Yeah.
In a like ableism sense, but
It
Follows to me, I think, straddles the line between supernatural horror and potentially something a little more cosmic, but
see, I tend to disagree.
So
and
it's psychological to me more than
actually,
it's psychological and supernatural to me more than it would be cosmic.
Yeah, to me, actually, neither one really captures cosmic horror, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So the entities in both of those are deeply concerned with what humans are doing. And to me, if the whatever force of horror is concerned with what humans are doing, then that lessens the degree to which I can say that it's cosmic horror. And for those two movies, it seems like the only concern is the humans, which is a fine horror idea, right? Like, having a monster that's concerned about what you're doing. And when I say concerned, I don't mean in the sense of, like, rooting for the well-being of humans. But everything that those monsters do is dependent on the context of what the humans are doing. They don't seem to exist as their own thing that doesn't particularly care about humans, but might accidentally interact with them anyway. Which, to me, is what is key to cosmic horror. So, for instance, like The Color Out of Space, which recently had a pretty good adaptation with Nick Cage. So, and I'm not...
Times where him chewing scenery was 100% authentic to the setting and didn't...
There are certain roles for which Nick Cage is the ideal actor, and there are many, many, many roles for which he is not. When you cast Nick Cage in a Nick Cage role, he is amazing. When you cast Nick Cage in a not Nick Cage role, he is comically bad. But,
I will, to this day, I will fight for his Ghost Rider movies. I don't care who doesn't like them. I particularly love the Neville Dean Taylor sequel because Kieran Hines was cast in it. They did Blackheart in sort of a weird way, but he was so unhinged that it was exactly the kind of stuff I need from Ghost Rider. Like that particular, like, Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. I loved those movies, and I'm a go to the mat for them.
I'm not going to argue. But yeah, for me, that is why I don't find Smile or It Follows to be cosmic horror, is because the antagonistic horrific entities are focused and seem to only care about humans. In one case, it's the whole like STD metaphor, and the other one, it's the whole like trauma. It's literally called like the trauma demon in behind the scenes stuff. So like, yeah.
I do want to push back on that a little. You can actually make a case for these being pretty much on the porch of cosmic horror, in the sense that humans are the medium by which they transmit themselves. And yeah, it's not driving you insane in like a quote stereotypical way. However, people as the medium of transmission, it's a metaphor for like trauma and like STDs. However, when you think about stuff like The King in Yellow, like Chambers, the idea is that there's sometimes information or media that is like a cognito hazard, and there are things that can also be a type of like cognito hazard or a different type of like transmissible thing through the human medium, and information is just one of those. So to me, it rings very much in the sense of like the empty man, where he transmits, we receive, right? And that's very cosmic. But again, people are the medium for like unspeakable things. So I'm not going to say that they're cosmic. I'm just saying that some of them, like It Follows, is on the porch.
And I would respectfully disagree for the reasons already stated. And hey, here's a cool thing. We don't have to agree on all these things.
Yeah.
Yep. And these don't have to then go on and do a really awkward, like, breakup stream like Sal and Rebecca did.
Yeah, I don't.
That would be weird. Like, I'm sorry, Vishanti, but I just can't go with you into these thinking that these movies are cosmic horror. So I can no longer associate myself with these.
I just said that It Follows is on the porch.
I'm not accusing you of doing it. I'm mocking Sal for a reason we're going to get into in just a second.
Forever bitch made. Or
permanently bitch made. Jasper, title sloshing the money for €6 says, the bees, not the bees! They're in my eyes! They're in my mouth! That's why you watch the original Wicker Man from the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a musical. It's folk horror. And it's got the best casting, man. How do you beat Christopher Lee? You can't. You can't.
So, because it did come up, I think a couple times in chat, yes, I am aware that Sal made a video ostensibly responding to me, but hey, Vishanti.
He's never once responded to you because he's never watched any of your stuff.
Exactly. So, he has not watched the video to which he is doing a response. Yet again.
Permanently bitch made.
Yeah.
You can't respond to something you never watched, Sal.
And so there was a question as to whether or not I plan to respond, which would actually be a response in that I would watch his video in order to respond to it. And the answer to that is I am currently in the planning stages of doing a live stream with Dr. Zach Hancock as well as Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal, because one, I just haven't had those guys on the channel in a while, especially Zach. And two, what Sal's video is actually is just a defense of John Sanford's genetic entropy, which didn't actually come up in the video that I made most recently. I believe it comes up in like one of the other ones that is like a sequel directly to that series. But two, I don't know if you know, but Zach Hancock and Dr. Dan Stern Cardinal co-authored the paper that basically mathematically proves that genetic entropy just isn't true. And when I say basically mathematically proves, I mean that, like, there isn't a mathematical option. Like, that's it. The math doesn't work, period. And not only is it mathematically proven in that paper, they also ran numerous simulations under numerous different conditions, some of which were harsher than the simulations that Sanford would demand for a test of a genetic entropy. And they found that even in simulation, you can't get, genetic entropy just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. It's not a real thing. So that is why I am in the beginning plans. That probably wouldn't be until next month, because I believe Zach isn't free until then. I think he's doing field work or something, because he is, in fact, a working scientist who goes out and collects crustaceans for genetics tests and whatnot. So, like, you know, busy guy.
Yeah, and the thing is like, this isn't my channel, so when I found out that Sal made another video just trying to like farm views off of your name. My inclination was that you shouldn't give him air, but that's just me.
Look, here's the thing. Sal had 5 live viewers on that.
God. Pathetic.
So I am not going to be the thing that makes people go watch it. In fact, I shared that response video on my wall because I was like, you know what, Sal? I'll give you a little bit of a boost. I'll get more people to see your video. I am okay with giving that man a boost because I don't know if he's ever gone over 1,000 views on any video ever. So I couldn't possibly give him a boost that would matter at that point, right? Like, I've already given him numerous boosts in visibility, and it hasn't mattered because here's the thing.
He's not doing science. He's just doing theology and apologetics with like a coat of paint.
And it's not very engaging.
And it's not
on top
good.
Of that. Yeah.
It's boring as hell.
Yep. All right. So what I think is that most people do not know enough about either Warhammer or Event Horizon to assess meaningfully the question as to whether or not Event Horizon is a Warhammer 40,000 prequel. But
hey, if nothing else, go watch Event Horizon.
Yeah, and then also read some 40K novels. There are some stinkers out there, but there are also some really good ones. So, you know, is Event Horizon a 40K sequel? Turtle 66%. Yes, 24%. No, 8%. So it seems like of the people who know enough to actually meaningfully assess the question, the overwhelming consensus is yes.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to be clear. It is not an official sequel. Games Workshop had nothing to do with Event Horizon. They have not announced any kind of partnership or anything that would bring that into the 40K canon or anything. It's just that there's a lot of coincidences that that thematically connect those two franchises. Although calling Event Horizon a franchise is a bit of a stretch.
I was going to say that there was a question in chat about whether like Twin Peaks, specifically the Black Lodge, counts as cosmic horror. And to me, that's not necessarily cosmic horror. I think it just explains how David Lynch sees forces of good and evil in the world, in the universe. In his mind, the most horrific thing in human history was the detonation of the atom bomb. And it just, in his mind, tore a hole in reality as we know it and allowed any number of horrific entities and forces to come through and cause untold suffering. So, but also along with that, there is a benevolent force that also works through people to, you know, stand against that horrific evil.
Yeah, to me, it draws on some cosmic horror ideas, right? Like, there's this idea that the Black and the White Lodge are beyond the normal space and time that the main setting of the show Twin Peaks takes place in. And that is definitely something that connects to cosmic horror, but also because they seem to be profoundly connected to humanity as a result of the Trinity test. And also because there are some of these beings that are definitely friendly towards humanity. That in itself tends me to push away from the idea of it being cosmic. Because to me, the big thing about cosmic horror is that the horrific entities in cosmic horror aren't malicious. They aren't evil. They treat humans the way that you treat ants, which is to say, if they're where you don't need them, you will in fact go use whatever you need to kill them off, and you'll step on them occasionally without even noticing. But like, is there actually really too many humans out there that we can say are actively malicious towards ants, that will go out and hunt down ants wherever they find? Well, of course not. But any encounter between an ant and a human, the ant has essentially no power at all, and is only at the whim of whatever the human. And if the human takes notice of that,
I'm actively hostile towards ants, and so like to me that wouldn't ring true as like a comparison. It's more like, this is how we think about microorganisms, which is almost never.
Yeah, maybe microorganisms might be a better example.
They just really don't exist until we were reminded of them, and we're like, oh yeah, well, are they causing any harm? Is there any real reason for me to give them my attention? No, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And I mean,
It's beyond any definition of morality or it's just amoral. It has no...
right.
It can't fit within these categories.
Like, the horrible things that happen to humans as a result of their interaction with these cosmic horror entities are not as a result of some malevolence. They're just the result of humans interacting with things that they cannot really comprehend. And that's also why I put some things that don't typically seem a lot like cosmic horrors into sort of a cosmic horror bucket. And to return for an easy example, because I've recently played a game involving them, I think that the Necrons from Warhammer actually count as a bit of a cosmic horror because, one, they're ancient and have technology that is, dependent on things like altering the fundamental forces of the universe, which turns out apparently just aren't what you think they are. And they gain their power by, shackling cosmic entities from beyond time and stuff like that. And also, they have motives because they're basically the uploaded brains of beings from, millions of years ago that have been put into metal bodies that can't die. They have motivations and thought processes that are totally alien to humans, and most of them don't particularly care that humans exist, except when they're inconvenient, which turns out to be a lot of the time. But, like, the ideal world for a lot of the Necrons would just be to never have to ever worry about humans. They never show up. They can exist somewhere, I don't really care. But, like, and this is sort of the new lore for the Necrons, right? If you go by the old 3rd edition lore, things change there a little bit. But that's why I kind of consider them to be a cosmic force, because they're not, like, actively like, oh, we need to kill all the humans, or, like, all the humans need to go extinct. They just don't care, but every once in a while, humans get in their way, and they're like, okay, well, we should probably turn them into tiny little subatomic particles by blasting them away, because that's the easiest way to get rid of all of them.
I was going to say, Mass Effect is standing in the doorway, because you can, to a degree, understand the Reapers, but as Kevin Kennedy reminded me very recently, like, Mass Effect has legitimately one of the hardest lines of all time, and it's where, your protagonist is learning all the lore, and they say to your protagonist, you exist because we allow it. You will end because we demand it.
Yeah. And also,
and that is
it's got a lot of that same thing where, like, there's this inscrutable motives from the main antagonists, like, and eventually...
Why do you want to kill us? Because they do.
Yeah,
why do you want to end them? Because they do.
Yeah, eventually you understand basically what the motive is, but even then, the basic thought process of a Reaper is something that, like, fundamentally none of the characters, including the Geth, who are also synthetic organisms, can really understand. They can kind of get an inkling as to roughly what the Reapers want and how to stop them, but, like, fundamentally understanding a Reaper's consciousness isn't a thing that any of the characters can really do.
Hey, Ralph is saying, like, it's cosmic scale in the sense of universe big, not reality unknowable. Yeah, it's like, that's why I say it's in the doorway of cosmic horror, because it's pulling a little bit of the vibe from inscrutable beings, but it's not all the way in there, because, again, their motives actually do ring very true with human motives, in a sense. Like, things that we understand about why they would do what they do, you're like, yeah, you fundamentally can understand it, but it's close. It's pulling some of the vibes.
A chatter they call Fearmonger says, sounds like Necron propaganda heretic. All right, so I'm going to give my best example of current Necron lore doing a cosmic horror thing, right?
Oh, come on, man. We got like 2 minutes.
It's fine. It's a relatively short thing, right? So there's a bit in the lore where an entire Necron battle force just kind of teleports to Mars, which is the capital of the Adeptus Mechanicus. It's the second most heavily defended world in the entirety of human-controlled space, right? Like, it's a really big deal. They don't come in on a big invasion ship. They pop in the middle of nowhere on Mars, in a place that even the Martian Adeptus Mechanicus doesn't spend a whole lot of time. And they do not go around trying to conquer anything. But of course, the humans send a whole bunch of military responses, and they just obliterate whatever response is there. But no one knows why they're there. I mean, if you're reading the book, because, you have an omniscient third-person view of the world. But, like, in terms of, like, what do the humans in the setting know about what's going on? Not a clue. And then they just leave. Why were they there? No one knows. What were they doing? No one knows. Were they attacking? No. Did a whole lot of humans die anyway? Yeah, a whole lot. And then they just left. And no one knows if they'll be back, when they'll be back, what they wanted in the first place. They just showed up, a whole bunch of people died, and then they left. And no one has a clue why. Now, you actually do know, again, because we get the omniscient view of the setting. But, like, yeah, that's some cosmic horror stuff. Horrible alien robots from beyond time showed up at your doorstep, killed anyone who made any questions, and then just left. And nothing seems to have changed. They just were there one day, and then they left. That, to me, is a pretty big cosmic horror idea.
Yeah, P.S. to the chat, I beat Mass Effect 1 somewhat recently, but I haven't played the other two, so don't spoil it.
We're going to get you to play Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2...
I mean, yeah, I've got them right there. This is coming up on one of the most busy times of year for me.
Fair, yeah.
So I need time to really, like, dig into it.
Hey, we're going to get ready to wrap things up. I want to say one last thing to Sal. Oh, drink for Mothra.
And it looks like Kip will not be healed. I'm so sorry, Kip. Our indulgences...
Well, at least not miraculously healed.
For you. Yeah.
Not miraculously healed. So here's one last thing to Sal, if you're watching. Hey, Sal. Apples and honey are a Rosh Hashanah thing, not a Yom Kippur thing, because that's a fasting holiday, not really associated with particular foods during the holiday, because you're not normally eating at all for that whole time. So, next time, Sal, that you decide to make a video trying to invalidate a Jewish festival, first of all, don't. But second, if you're going to, maybe get the associated items correct. I don't know.
Too hard.
Yeah. Because if there's one thing that's going to make me just assume that you're being a gigantic anti-Semitic bigot, it's not only trying to invalidate Jewish festivals, but it's doing it while showing pictures of the wrong festival.
And also, literally titling your video with supersessionist garbage is a great way for me to hate you even more than I did before, which was quite a bit. So, yeah, don't do that. But then again, I don't have very many expectations for evangelicals, particularly apologists, and even more particularly creationists. So Sal remains bitch made for all eternity and is also an anti-Semitic piece of shit.
I mean, the thing is with the eternal bitch made is that's a choice that he makes. Mm-hmm. He could just watch the videos and then respond to them. But he won't. He can't. Nope. It's because I've insulted his boyfriend.
Yep.
I've decided that's the only explanation as to why he gets so defensive about John Sanford, is that, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, but I'm pretty sure that from now on I'm going to refer to John Sanford not as his boss/business partner, but as his boyfriend. Because it's pretty clear that that's how Sal is treating that relationship in terms of, like, his emotional reaction to Daddy Sanford being insulted. So anyway...
In the chat said that they're not defending Sal, that from one perspective, fasting holidays are still technically food-based. They're not, though.
Yeah,
fasting is literally not food-based.
Plus,
it's the opposite of that.
Apples and honey are specifically associated
not
with
Yom Kippur.
The Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, head of the year.
The only thing that I could say about his thumbnail is that I was like, wow, it's one of the few times someone didn't just throw the Hanukkah version of the menorah on there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
It was the actual proper candle stand from the temple.
It was like 7 branches, not 9, because people just assume any Jewish holiday as a 9-branch menorah. And I was like, oh, well, there's that. It's still like supersessionist garbage, though.
Yeah, so, and also still the wrong holiday.
Still the wrong holiday.
It's like...
Imagine, like, putting up a video dunking on, this is why Christmas is blah, 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 and having a bunch of Easter eggs on it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
That's how stupid that is.
I'm going to show you all the pagan traditions in Christmas, which, spoiler alert, are basically
There's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not.
But, like, and then you're just like, oh, and I'm going to show you by putting up pictures of Easter bunnies. I'm like, no.
Yeah, really.
completely the wrong holiday. All right, guys. Let's see. What do we got coming up? So on Tuesday, we've got Jackson with Jackson coming up. I do not have it scheduled yet. I'm planning to do that hopefully by the end of tomorrow. Also today, a new video went up for early access. So if you are a channel member or a patron, please go check out the new video. It is called Everest. Oh, I need to rename that, actually. I forgot to rename it after I uploaded it. But basically, Creationist Lines about Everest. Ron Neller, Young Earth Creationist, Part 3 is the name of that. It is 50 minutes and 2 seconds. So, it's a little bit of a time investment. But yeah, please do check that out if you have early access. You can find it if you're a member on my community tab, or now I think it's just called the posts tab, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you're a patron, there is a Patreon post over on my Patreon. So those are the two ways. And if those are too hard for you, I have linked both of them on the Discord server that's just for patrons and members. So you can click to either of those links and then get to it that way. So there is that. Then on Thursday, what is the video that's coming out? Let's see. Creationists can't give a reason to believe in Adam and Eve. So this is going to be John Sanford and Eric Hovind again. And John Sanford is going to be arguing in favor of the historical existence of Adam and Eve, but does not actually give a single reason why you should accept that while arguing for it. It's
of course
it's kind of amazing the degree to which it doesn't even seem like he's trying. Then on
I can't listen to him talk. He does the mouth smacking
he really
thing,
does.
and it just drives me insane. Like, it activates every bit of my misophonia.
He's also an exceptionally slow talker.
Yeah. I watched that on like 1.5, 1.75, and even then I was like, get on with it!
Mm-hmm. So then on Saturday, I'm going to be back, and Kip apparently won't be because he didn't get his miraculous healing, because we only got 10 prayers for Kip.
I won't be here.
More. But you won't be here, so I guess it'll just be me on my own. But we'll be back to Billy Carson, and actually I think Kip probably will be here, because I suspect that he might have a non-miraculous healing. Can't guarantee, but I suspect. And then that is Friday. By the way, over on Top Hats Off, I have confirmed that everyone but Craig is able to play, which means we are going to be playing unless that changes. And quite frankly, at this point, if it changes, we might play anyway, and I might kick out whoever changed it unless it's for a really good reason. Because this is a whole lot of people canceling lately, and I'm a little tired of it.
Like it.
So hey, if you're watching and you're one of the Star Trek players, you're on notice. Y'all are on thin ice. Some of you are on thinner ice than others.
Yeah. For me, I've been spending a lot of time working on a presentation about the Messianic movement. So whether or not that gets posted on my channel will depend on a few other factors. And I will say I'm not going to be here next Saturday because I'm going to be working San Diego Comic-Con. So if you happen to be in San Diego, if you are going to the con, let me know. Reach out to me. I will give you details on how we can say hello to each other, perhaps grab a snack at some point. Just don't be weird about it. And other channel stuff, it continues to be in the works because one of the reasons that it's taking so long to get some of these videos out is because life is lifing for a lot of people right now. And some of my collaborators and video partners have been going through some hardships as well. Yeah. So Joshua Geese was asking if money on my fundraiser counts still.
Which I actually didn't check because, oh my.
Yeah.
That. Okay. Oh, I just screwed that up, so that's going to be a Dapper's Professional right there.
Holy effing F. Anonymous? Whoever you are, about an hour ago... Oh my god. Thank you. That was extremely generous. I do not know what to say other than thank you. That is very appreciated.
It's not working very well, but I'm going to just manually... I have to double check and troubleshoot why this doesn't seem to be working, but... yeah.
While I'm thanking people, Nikki got me some things off of my wish list. So, thank you as well. And again, Meat Permits, Tad Joshua Geese, and yeah, that 2 anonymouses contributed, but one of them has a visible contribution amount, which is
500.
substantial. So thank you. That more than handles my my recent bills that came up. So thank you.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much. I will be alerting Bent that there's some free pizza there.
He gets to eat today.
Yeah, he gets to eat today.
Good.
So, if you are interested, we are going to be doing some episodes of Power Rangers Dino Fury over on my Discord server. We're actually going to be doing 5 episodes on 1.25 speed over on Netflix, and that is because we missed a day, and both Bent and I have seen this particular season, although it's been a while for both of us, but, like, we don't want to having missed a day due to severe weather to just, like, delay getting to the Godzilla, and I know that Vishanti in particular appreciates that. Because she's been like, I'm waiting for Godzilla. All right, fine. But yeah, Bent gets free pizza.
Getting a little choked up because of the donation. So.
Yeah. But yeah, hey, Bent gets free pizza. I have to do a new avatar poll, so the next video will not just be my default avatar. And I hope to see all of you on Tuesday, if not later on in the Discord, and I will talk to all of you later. Have a wonderful, safe rest of your weekend and the rest of the week. Bye, everybody. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Ben Tovand, Tapioca Weasel, Arrow Dodger, Dan Sheedy, Elleron Teller, Phil Guevara, Ian Chen, Kelvin Brostock Van Manen, Landon Knoll, Mabbity Babbity, Sphincter of Doom, Wallace, Max Cherry, North Texas Fossils, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.